We're interrupting our scheduled broadcast to get you the latest visuals from the Hindon Air Base. Remember, it's the 88th Air Force Day today, and that's why you're having the usual ceremony to celebrate our Sky Warriors. In a bit from now, we're expecting that the IAF chief will be addressing the nation, after which the glorious fly past, which is going to be the highlight of the Air Force Day. And remember, this year, you're also going to be seeing the Rafale in action. That's slated to begin at about 10 in the morning. You've also got several politicians taking to Twitter to hail our IAF heroes. The Prime Minister also just about 45 minutes ago put out a tweet hailing the IAF and saying, I quote here, "Many congratulations to all the brave warriors of the Indian Air Force. You not only keep the skies of the country safe, but also play a leading role in the service of humanity in times of disaster. Your courage, valor and dedication to protect Ma Bharti is inspiring everyone." So that is the statement from the Prime Minister. These are the live visuals that we're getting to you from the Hindon Air Base. You're going to have the Air Force Chief also speaking in just a bit. That is Air Chief Marshal RKS Bhadauria will be speaking to all of the warriors of the IAF. This is also coming at a crucial time because the IAF plays such a big role in really protecting our borders, particularly keeping in mind what's happening at the line of actual control. Two Rafales that are part of the ceremony today. One which is static and there on display, and the other which will be a part of the ceremonial fly past.
हैंडल भी है, हैंडल भी है, हैंडल भी है।
The Indian Air Force has been actively supporting and implementing the national vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat, or self-sufficient India.
So the official ceremony kicks off now. I was mentioning to you how the Rafale is going to be a part of the fly past. The ceremony usually sees about 20 odd aircraft. This time we understand there's going to be 23. So besides the Rafale, there's the LCA Tejas, there's the Sukhoi 30. You've also got MiG-29s, Mirages 2000. Also among the choppers, you'll have the Apache helicopter, the Chinook helicopters, all of them which will be a part of this fly past. So it's definitely going to be a delight to watch all of the IAF warriors take to the skies with the Rafale aircraft as well as the other aircraft that the IAF is equipped with. Abhishek Bhalla is joining us with more details on this. Abhishek, 10 a.m. is when we're expecting the fly past. That no doubt is the highlight of the ceremony.
That's right, the fly past will be the big attraction of the ceremony, and before that, the parade will start. We can already see the contingent that has lined up, and in the background is the Rafale, the Mirage, the Dhruv helicopter. In fact, all assets of the Indian Air Force are on display. And it's important that, at this point of time where the Air Force has been playing a very crucial role in Ladakh amid the standoff with China, all these assets of the Air Force have been deployed there, be it the Su-30, the MiG-29, and off late after the induction, even the Rafale has flown sorties over the skies of Ladakh. The Air Force Chief has made it very clear that the Indian Air Force is ready for any kind of action, including airstrikes. And in some time from now, we'll see the parade begin. Dignitaries have already come. The Chief of Naval Staff has arrived. The Army Chief has just reached now, and in fact, he's walking towards the dais. He will get the guard of honor in some point as he approaches to the dais, and after that the Chief of Defence Staff, the Chief of Air Staff will also be arriving here very soon. It's at around 10 a.m. that we'll see the fly-past take place, which obviously is going to be a very, very big attraction. The Rafale we showed you is on display. As far as the static display is concerned, it will also be flying in two different formations, carrying out maneuvers with other aircraft as well. So a very important 88th Air Force Day amid the India-China tussle, and soon after the induction of Rafale in the Indian Air Force.
The timing of this, Abhishek, so very crucial, because as I highlighted, the IAF plays such an important role in protecting our borders, particularly with what's happening at the LAC. We've seen a huge deployment of IAF jets, of our IAF warriors also at the LAC.
That's right, and the Air Force is not just combat ready, it's been playing a very crucial role as far as logistics are concerned. Those supply lines at heights of more than 15,000 feet are open because of the constant sorties of the Indian Air Force. The C-130J Hercules transport aircraft of the Indian Air Force, which is on display here as well, has been carrying out sorties. The Chinook helicopter, the double rotor that can be seen in the background, has been flying in Ladakh, taking supplies to some of the forward locations where transport is extremely difficult. It's a treacherous terrain, and amid all those activities, the Air Force Day taking place, just a reminder how important a role the Air Force is playing. Coming back to the Rafale, it was exactly a year back on the 8th of October, Air Force Day, when the first batch of 3 Rafale jets were handed over to the Indian Air Force back in France, after the Air Force pilots and ground staff went through several hours of training. The Rafale was brought to India. The first batch of 5 Rafales are in India, and by the end of October, or perhaps by the end of November, in the next couple of months, another 5 will be coming to India. So very soon there'll be 10 Rafale jets with the Indian Air Force completely operational for any kind of challenges.
So right now at the Hindon Air Base, the Chief of Naval Staff as well as the Army Chief are present. We're expecting that the Air Force Chief will also arrive in some time from now, as will the Chief of Defence Staff. I just also want to read out here the tribute that's come in from Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. He's tweeted, and I quote, "The nation is proud of its men and women in blue and salutes the prowess of the IAF as it stands ready to face challenges and deter adversaries. We remain committed to enhancement of IAF's combat capability through modernization and indigenization. I'm confident that the IAF will always guard the nation's skies, come what may. Here's wishing you blue skies and happy landings always." Abhishek, perhaps the best way to celebrate Air Force Day, to hail our warriors, is by giving them the latest tech, by equipping them with the best technology. And that's what you really see with the Rafale. The fact that, you've got our IAF warriors now showing off the Rafales highlights how important it is to the arsenal.
Most definitely. I mean, it's definitely one of the biggest inductions in the Indian military in the last few years. And remember, a modern fighter jet, it's taken nearly 20 years for the Indian Air Force to procure it. Lots of controversies around it. But finally, the 36 Rafale that are supposed to be there are going to be with the Indian Air Force very soon. And there'll be 2 squadrons. One squadron is already active in Ambala. The other will be in Hashimara, West Bengal. So the idea is to have a squadron of 18 aircraft each in both the western sector as well as to take care of the northern borders with China. And the air warriors, smartly lined up in their crisp blues for the parade. And the Chief of Defence Staff has arrived now, General Bipin Rawat, on the dais taking salute. He'll be given the guard of honor, and in some time the parade will start. Obviously, the timing is of this Air Force Day is very important. There is a military standoff with China for over 5 months now, and the army as well as the Air Force have been playing a very, very important role. While the army is deployed physically in some of those friction points, and as the winter sets in, ready for all kinds of challenges. The Air Force playing a very important role, not just to be battle ready in case of an escalation, but also playing a very, very crucial role to ensure that the Indian Army that is deployed in a tough, treacherous terrain gets a constant supply of ration, of winter clothing, of ammunition, and all needs that are utmost importance at this juncture, especially ahead of the onset of winter.
They face a lot of challenges, so the least we can do is really celebrate them on the occasion of Air Force Day. On your screens are visuals of the Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, who's just arrived after the ceremonial guard of honour. He's taken his seat. In 1 hour from now is when we're expecting the fly past. Abhishek, I just want you to highlight for us, besides the Rafales, which we've spoken about, is really the highlight of the Air Force Day. Which are the other aircraft and the helicopters really taking part in this year's Air Force Day celebrations?
Well, Akshita, there are 56 aircraft in all, and these include fighter jets, helicopters, transport helicopter like the Chinook. Also interesting that, you know, vintage aircraft like the Dakota and the Tiger Moth that was used as a trainer way back in the Second World War will also be part of the air display. And as we see the air warriors lined up, of course, the center of attraction is the Rafale, just under that board that says innovate, integrate and intimidate. On my left from the Rafale is the Mirage 2000. Then comes the Dhruv advanced light helicopter, the Akash missile system, that's the MiG-29, the Apache, and then the AWACS. What we are not able to show you is, the LCA Tejas is also there. Perhaps we can get a glimpse of it on my right of the Rafale. And next to that is the Jaguar. So in the entire gamut of Indian Air Force's air power, all assets clearly visible on display, just sends a very comforting message, not just to the forces on the ground, but also the citizens of the country.
If I'm not wrong, Abhishek,
in case
if I'm not wrong, the Air Force Chief, Air Chief Marshal Rakesh Bhadauria has also just arrived.
That's right. We can see the Air Chief Marshal Rakesh Bhadauria now being ushered in, and he will come to the dais as well, just like the other military chiefs who have reached there. In the background, we can see 3 helicopters as well, flying towards the technical area where the parade is going to take place. The Air Force Chief will take salute, and after that will start the usual Air Force Day parade. Of course, it's a spectacle, just like all military events are, and in some time from now, we'll see the beginning of the parade, and of course, after that, the mesmerizing air show that will take place. It will have all sorts of air assets of the Indian Air Force that will be participating, and 3 helicopters, a very clear view of those now with the Air Force flag flying over the area where the parade is going to take place. Just shows the kind of air capabilities, the strike capabilities of the Indian Air Force. And as I was mentioning earlier, it's not just comforting for the military, but also for the citizens of the country, that amid military tensions with China, and of course the threat of a two-front conflict, the people can feel comforted that the military is in safe hands. They have all the assets to take on all kinds of threats. The other day, during his annual press conference, Air Chief Marshal Rakesh Bhadauria, in fact, answering a question on a two-front war, said that not just the Air Force but the entire military is completely ready for all challenges. And to a question asked by me that have we come anywhere close to carrying out airstrikes amid the standoff with China, he said not yet, but if the need be, the Air Force is prepared to do it at a very short notice. The Air Chief now going on the jeep will do an inspection, and after that will begin the parade at the 88th Air Force Day. It was exactly a year back last year on 8th of October when Defence Minister Rajnath Singh was in France to take over the first Rafale that was handed over to the Indian Air Force. It's been a long journey, almost 2 decades that it took for the Indian Air Force to have a modern fighter jet of the capabilities that the Rafale has. And finally, after a year of its official handing over that took place last year, the first batch of 5 Rafales has been handed over to the Indian Air Force. The Ambala airbase is the home of the Rafale, one of the oldest air bases in India. It's 100 years old, and it doesn't just have a rich past legacy and a history, but also the strategic location of Ambala makes it the perfect home for the Rafale. The Air Force Chief just gone past the Nishan Toli, going past the Rafale now. In the background, we can clearly see the Rafale part of the static display. As he moves ahead, we'll get a glimpse of the Jaguar. That's also part of the static display. In the background, that's the Jaguar that can be seen now, and that is the Rohini air defense system. So very clear display on view of all assets of the Indian Air Force as the Air Chief takes center stage just before the parade begins. The Air Force Chief going past the media enclosure now after taking salute, and as he reaches the dais again and takes his seat, we will witness a spectacular display of the parade that will start very soon. The entire military leadership is present here, other than the Air Force Chief RKS Bhadauria. There's CDS General Bipin Rawat, Army Chief General Naravane, as well as the Navy Chief Admiral Karambir Singh. And we have been talking about the crucial timing of this Air Force Day celebrations. While the military is taking on a belligerent China in Ladakh, these celebrations extremely important, sending a very strong message that the Indian forces are in complete readiness at all times to take care of any kind of aggression, either from China or from Pakistan. Once again, we'll show you the background where all assets of Indian Air Force are on display, from AWACS to the Chinook heavy lift transport helicopter, the MiG-29 Akash missile system, the Dhruv advanced light helicopter, Mirage 2000, of course the Rafale, the Jaguar, the LCA, the Su-30, the C-130J Hercules transport aircraft, all of them in display at this Air Force Day celebration taking place at the Hindon Air Base. And it's important to mention that all these assets at some point of time have been used in Ladakh over the last 5 months. Just about to begin is the parade now, any moment from now. And once the parade ends, of course, everybody will wait for the mesmerizing air show that will take place with all these assets flying past the Hindon Air Base. very, very important and attractive display. It's going to be the Rafale, obviously, is the big attraction, and we've been saying that it's going to be the center of attraction as it makes its debut in the Air Force Day celebrations this year. And now what we can see is the parade has started. Those are the air warriors that have started the parade, marching to the tune of Kadam Kadam Badhai Ja, digging in their heels in crisp blues. These are the air warriors of the Indian Air Force, reminding us that the Indian military is always ready for any kind of aggression, any kind of situation, especially with what the situation at the line of actual control is.
Yes, let's just cut across to the parade that's happening right now at the Hindon Air Base. Abhishek telling us also the details of the ceremonial inspection that the Air Force Chief did. But let's cut across for the moment to the parade.
Uniform personnel shall salute.
बेटियों एवं सज्जनों, जब निशान टोली आपके सामने से गुजरे तो आप उसके सम्मान में खड़े हो जाएं एवं वर्दीधारी गण सैल्यूट करें।
The parade will march past the salute details on the martial tunes of Vayu Shakti and Northern Border. Comprising 5 ALH Mark IV weaponized helicopters approaching from your left in an arrowhead formation. Leading the formation is Group Captain B.K. Sahu, Commanding Officer 116 Helicopter Unit. Rudra formation will be presenting an aerial salute to the Indian Air Force colors.
So the parade that's underway on the occasion of Air Force Day. After this parade, and let me bring in Abhishek Bhalla, who's reporting for us from the Hindon Air Base. After this parade, Abhishek, is when we're expecting the flypast. Is there also going to be an address by the IAF chief?
That's right. There will be an address, and also the fly past will begin in some time from now. And obviously, Akshata, as we've been mentioning, that the Rafale is making its debut in the Air Force Day celebrations this year. Just soon after it was inducted, a formal induction took place in Ambala, and 56 Indian Air Force aircraft will be participating in the air display. These include fighter jets, helicopters, as well as vintage aircraft of the Indian Air Force. There are various formations that they will be performing. There are certain new formations like the Vijay, which will have the Rafale along with the Jaguar and Mirage 2000s. Also, the Rafale will be part of another formation called the Transformer formation. In that it will take place, it will participate with the indigenous LCA Tejas along with the Su-30. And as far as some of the other formations are concerned, it will begin with Akash Ganga. That will be the first formation, and that will be followed by Mi-17, V-5s, the Rudra helicopters, the Chinook. Of course, the Chinook has been seen very often in the last few days flying in Ladakh. It's been part of operations to make sure that logistics are supplied to the Indian Army that is deployed in the forward areas. The Hercules C-130 will also be part of one of the formations. Again, a big asset of the Indian Air Force. It's a transport aircraft that has been very active in Ladakh over the last 5 months. Then there is one formation called the Globe, which will include the C-17, the MiG-29 and the Su-30 fighter aircraft. So these are the kind of formations that will take place. Also, the MiG-21 Bison, which is one of the oldest Air Force's fighter jets, will be part of the air display. Amongst the vintage aircraft are the Dakota and the Tiger Moth. Again, very, very old aircraft that have been part of the assets of the Indian Air Force. And towards the end of the air display will be the mesmerizing, colorful Sarang helicopters and the Surya Kirans that will be flying over the Hindon Air Base. And that's of course the star attraction of the Air Force Day celebrations every year, when a mesmerizing fly past that includes all major assets of the Indian Air Force. They take part in this air display, and it's scheduled to start at 9:58. The parade has just got over, and after this there will be the ceremonial medals that will be given to air warriors by the Indian Air Force Chief RKS Bhadauria, who is seen clearly standing at the dais at this point of time. He will be presenting all those who have been awarded medals for their service in the Indian Air Force for many, many years. And once that ceremony gets over, the air display will start.
Abhishek, you were pointing out how many of these aircraft that we see on display right now at the Hindon Air Base was in Ladakh. So I'm sure you've seen them in action in Ladakh, and now you're seeing them at the Hindon Air Base on full display as well. But what also stands out, Abhishek, is that last year at this very time, on the occasion of Air Force Day, there was so much anticipation for the Rafale. All the talk was that, next year, this time, we'll have the Rafale with us. And that's now a reality.
That's right, Akshita. And I was extremely fortunate to experience the handing over of the first Rafale last year in France, when Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh had gone for the ceremony. He himself was present, and it was Air Force Day. It was also Dashera, I remember very clearly. So it was a day to celebrate for the Indian Air Force. And exactly a year since then, nobody knew that the Rafale actually will be part of operations at a time when India is going through a military escalation of this kind that has never been seen in decades. And perhaps the timing has been such of the coming of the Rafale to India that it's made sure that the Indian Air Force is completely operationally ready and is not just operationally ready but is also participating in very, very crucial operations that have been taking place in Ladakh.
Absolutely. So as we beam these live visuals from the Hindon Air Base of the Air Force Day celebrations, I want to again highlight that in about 45 minutes from now is when we're expecting the flypast to begin. You're going to be seeing the Rafale in action. 2 Rafales that are part of the celebrations and part of the ceremony. One that's static, that's stationary there, and another that will take to the skies and be a part of that flypast. In all, Abhishek telling us over 50 aircraft will be a part of this year's ceremony. Besides the Rafale, you've got the LCA Tejas, you've got the Sukhoi 30, the MiG-29s, you've got the Apache and Chinook helicopters, all of which will take to the sky. So expect that from 10 to 11, it's going to be a glorious affair, really, the celebrations of the Air Force Day. We're also seeing a lot of tributes coming in for our air warriors from Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, from Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Narendra Modi also has put out a special video hailing our air warriors. And this is happening at a time, you see, this celebration of our IAF heroes at a time when many of them are also deployed to the line of actual control. We've got several of them out there now braving the inclement weather to ensure that our borders are secure. And that's why this year's celebration, Abhishek, is so important, because it's important for us as a nation also to show our gratitude to our forces.
That's right, Akshita. And it's also a very strong messaging to the entire country and all citizens that the forces are completely ready to defend the nation. There is readiness as far as any of the combat capabilities are concerned. I've been in Ladakh over the last 5 months on 2 occasions, spent a lot of time there, and we can see the Air Force flying every day, carrying out sorties, ensuring that logistics, supplies, ration, winter clothing is taken to the forward location, especially ahead of the winter when things are going to get extremely difficult as temperatures dip to minus 40, minus 50 degrees in some of those heights of more than 15,000, 16,000 feet. Of course, it's a time to show gratitude and also to realize that, the kind of effort that goes into defending the nation. I've seen it up close in Ladakh, be it the Army, be it the ITBP, be it the Air Force, and all other arms of the Indian security establishment that are involved in planning, strategizing, also carrying out operations. All of those people, they need to be saluted for their efforts, especially at a time when the country is going through a very tough time amid the COVID-19 pandemic, and that's when this tussle with China started 5 months back in early May, when there were Chinese transgressions noticed in Ladakh. And since then, there has been a deployment in Ladakh that's never been seen before. There are at least 40 to 50,000 troops on the ground in forward areas, occupying heights that are extremely difficult to stay on. Turnaround from those heights is not easy, because once you are perched on those heights, replacements are not easy, acclimatization is not easy. Amid all this, the Air Force Day celebrations, especially with assets that are on display here today, all of these assets being part of crucial operations in Ladakh, a very, very clear reminder of the efforts of the Indian military in such trying times.
And we're going to continue tracking all the latest from the Hindon airbase. Abhishek, do stay on with us. We're going to slip into a very short break here on India Today. On the other side, our focus remains on the 88th Air Force Day celebrations as India comes together to hail, salute and pay gratitude to our sky warriors. We're coming back in just a bit. Stay with us here on India Today.